Video Games Recon.
Hello and welcome. My name is Nate from Video Games Recon, and this is part 2 of my top 10 Wonder Weapons list from Call of Duty Zombies. If you'd like to check out part 1 before continuing, click the annotation on screen to pause the video and open part 1 in a separate window. Also, like previously discussed in part 1, there will be no devices within this list that may or may not be classified as Wonder Weapons, such as monkey bombs, the Hell's Retriever, Gersh devices, and so on. This list is based on my personal favourite Wonder Weapons. By that I mean guns that have sentimental value and or that I have had the most fun with, and not necessarily listed in order of the strongest. Again, this is just my humble opinion, and if your list differs, feel free to post your top 10 or top 5 Wonder Weapons in the comments section. Anywho, without any further ado, let's do it to it.
The BLUNDERGAT.
This weapon is a sort of 2 for 1, as the BLUNDERGAT can branch out into different weapon progressions, namely the Vitriolic Withering and the Sweeper, which we will cover later. First, let's start with the BLUNDERGAT. This is a prototype hybrid weapon that is based on American Civil War era guns, namely the blunderbuss and Gatling gun, and is thought to be in the map Mob of the Dead due to the Warden being an avid collector of such weapons. The BLUNDERGAT without upgrades is a one-shot gun that fires similar to a double-barrel shotgun. Due to its barrel layout, fires its shot in a horizontal spread. This weapon is powerful as is, but not all that impressive. So, from here we have 3 options. We can simply pack-a-punch it and turn it into the Sweeper, add the Acid Kit and turn it into the Acid Gat, or do both and turn it into the Vitriolic Withering. The Sweeper is the most plain and simple of the variants, becoming more like an Olympia, on steroids, and then some. Then there's the Acid Gat, which is a buildable add-on and now has properties similar in nature to both an Awful Lawton, the Pack-a-Punch crossbow, and the SLIQUIFIER, in that once fired the ammunition sticks to whatever it impacts and draws zombies towards it with monkey bomb-like effects. Once the ammo detonates, the fire is attached, emit a green, presumably acid goo, that has similar chained explosive effects to the purple goo of the SLIQUIFIER. However, in the Unpack-a-Punch version, these effects are more minimal, particularly the monkey-like effect. Then there's the Vitriolic Withering, which is pretty much identical, but better in every way, most noticeably with its ability to attract zombies once fired. In most people's opinion, this is the definitive variant of this weapon, but for me this gun gets me in just as much trouble as it gets me out of, due to its monkey bomb-like effects, which although now lasts a fair bit longer once pack-a-punched, seems less accurate than a monkey or an Awful Lawton bolt, and confuses the zombie's pattern and tends to get me down just as much as it saves my ass from getting trapped. This is going to sound weird, but personally I prefer the Sweeper, for this honest, does what it says on the tin style. Sure, it's simple, humble, and not very flashy or imaginative, and maybe that says more about me than the gun, in that I'm a bit simple and so on. But that said, it's a very satisfying weapon to use, and either way you go, the BLUNDERGAT is a great and fun weapon, making it to number 5 on the list. And on a side note, if the stats had followed suit in having a similar progression tree for its upgrades, i.e. a simple upgrade version via Pack-a-Punch and an optional, more complicated upgrade path, then it would be much higher up on this list. Just saying, Treyarch. Just saying.
4. The Paralyzer.
Found on the map buried, the Paralyzer can be acquired from the box and is a very striking weapon indeed, with a futuristic coloured glow and all sorts of doohickeys flailing about the place. Its very imaginative art style is best described as if the movie Tron, a Swiss pocket watch, and the Wunderwaffe all had a threesome, and the resulting offspring produced was the Paralyzer. This weapon is quite different from most Wonder Weapons gone before, as it has some very interesting abilities, the first of which being the ability to not only damage and kill zombies, but also to slow them down. A akin to the sort of effect you get from a Winter's Hound, except instantaneous. Next is the different ammo. Different in terms of that it has none, and works similar to the flamethrower from World at War, and instead has a cooldown timer that once you reach 115 on the ammo counter, the weapon overheats and you'll have to wait for it to reset to 100 before it can be fired again. The upshot of this is that you don't need to worry about ammo, making this weapon a glitcher's wet dream. And last but by no means least, the Paralyzer gives you the ability to fly, as if pointed at the ground and fired at the same time as jumping, you can temporarily fly, making getting around the map a breeze, as you can easily get on a lot of rooftops and no longer need to remove certain debris to get about the map, and not to mention the ability to get out of a tight spot if surrounded by zombies. This weapon makes me think back to the piece of shit that is the jet gun, and is how the jet gun would have been if they went back to the drawing board, as in principle a lot of the effects are very similar. For example, it has a cooldown timer just like the Paralyzer, and its damage and slowdown of the zombies is very similar. However, where the similarities end is that the jet gun may suck, both literally and metaphorically, whereas the Paralyzer only blows the zombies into pieces, and doesn't blow in general. And thus, this leads me to think that the Paralyzer was created to make amends for the jet gun, as this weapon is everything the jet gun should have been and wasn't. Thus, it makes it to number 4 on my list.
3. The wave gun or zap guns.
First off, from here on in, I'm just going to call this weapon the wave gun for simplicity's sake, seeing as this weapon's most noticeable quality is that this gun is 2 wonder weapons for the price of 1, as when acquired from the box, or a QED if you get real lucky, you will start with the zap guns, which are 2 akimbo pistols very similar to the ray gun, except upon impact the zombies get electrocuted like a Wunderwaffe, minus the chain effect. However, like discussed, they function very much like akimbo ray guns with increased stopping power. But where this weapon really comes into its own is if you press left on the D-pad and initiate its party trick, as this weapon likes to think it's a transformer or megazord and combines together to make the wave gun, which is a bit of a monster, as not only does it have independent ammo from the zap guns, it has a similar firing mechanic to a thunder gun or Winter's Hound, in that it fires in a spread just like a thunder gun, and stops zombies in their tracks like the freeze animation of the Winter's Hound. However, instead the gore is knocked up a notch, as the zombies cough up blood, then expand, and if in zero gravity, float away before exploding into pink mist, making the wave gun fun for days, and with its unique abilities and abundant amount of ammo, really is a godsend on a map that is as difficult as it is brilliant.
Two, the Scavenger.
The Scavenger found on the chilly and awesome map Call of the Dead. What to say about this weapon? At first I wasn't that sure about this wonder weapon, a sniper rifle that has a delayed explosion akin to a crossbow that also has significant splashback damage. Suffice to say I was a little dubious at first, but the more and more I got used to it and stopped using it without the aid of PhD Flopper, the more and more I realised just how bison this weapon could be, and really comes into its own when running a train, as it has a decent amount of ammo and can destroy a massive horde of zombies in one shot up to round 35. And aside from that, it has a great look and great otherworldly reload sounds, which you come to expect from a good wonder weapon. And when pack-a-punched, gains an infrared scope, which is hella cool. Not that you spend a lot of time looking through it, as if you're like me, you'll be attempting to quick scope like a boss. And that explosion animation is just epic, as it feels like the whole universe bends and implodes a little before the round detonates. Although you need an air of caution when using the Scavenger, as you'll need Jug and PhD as bare essentials, and will need either the VR11 at hand via a mule kick or a friend, and or will need to train close to a body of water as to calm down George in case he incurs damage from the blast. Putting these things aside, the Scavenger's immense power and being such a pleasure to use easily make up for any shortcomings, and like high cholesterol has worked its way into my heart. Spoiler alert, this is the last chance to watch part 1 before we move on to reveal our number 1 best wonder weapon in Call of Duty Zombies. But before that, let's take a quick look back at the weapons featured in this list so far. 10. The SLIQUIFIER. 9. The Wunderwaffe. 8. The Elemental Staffs. 7. The Shrink Ray. 6. The Ray Gun Mark II. 5. The BLUNDERGAT. 4. The Paralyzer. 3. The Wave Gun and the Zap Guns. 2. The Scavenger. And our number 1 Call of Duty wonder weapon is
The Thunder Gun.
originally thought to have been created by Dr. Maxis. It was later discovered to have been a creation of the Russians, specifically the Ascension Group, headed by the scientist Gersh. The name probably rings a bell, as it's the same guy who helped to make the Gersh device. Anyway, enough of that lore malarkey. Man, I frickin' love this weapon. And maybe I see the Thunder Gun a little bit through rose-tinted glasses, as Kino de Totem was the first map I really started to get into zombies. And sure, the Thunder Gun's not a zombie-killing powerhouse like a Scavenger or a high-round essential like a Wunderwaffe with its one-hit mass insta-kill, but this weapon is an outright beast, with little or no downsides, and is pretty much a get-out-of-jail-free card, and can save you in almost any situation, especially when reviving a teammate, leaving you with a conundrum as to whether to go for the medic role with monkeys and quick revive, or to be selfish and get mule kick and go for the extra weapons and ammo. Either way, you're not going to be dissatisfied with the Thunder Gun's massive blast radius, good damage, decent ammo, amusing zombie ragdoll physics once fired, and its out and out godlike powers, which will leave you with a warm zombie killing feeling inside. And once pack-a-punched into the Zeus cannon, it becomes more powerful, more ammo in a clip, more ammo outright, and more godlike power. The only real downsides to this weapon is that you feel like you're untouchable and can be tricked into a false sense of security, and that past round 30 to 35 it becomes significantly less powerful in terms of killing zombies, so you're gonna need 1 or 2 powerful weapons in combination with the Thunder Gun to make it into those high rounds. I don't know about you guys, but I'd love to see the Thunder Gun make a return in a future Zombies map. And I know there's the Thunder Staff, but it's just not quite the same, as it's like trying to compare Pepsi to Coca-Cola. Sure, they're both good, but it just doesn't taste the same. And like I've previously discussed, the staffs, although fun, have their own downsides. So, what do you guys think of a return for the Thunder Gun? Or would you prefer Treyarch to concentrate on new and original weapons? Either way, hit me up in the comments with your thoughts. Anywho, this just leaves me to say, if you enjoyed this video, please help support us by liking, commenting, sharing, and subbing for more BS of a similar nature. Thank you, and goodbye.